So, said one of the UN ambassadors in the circle surrounding us, you are the new sovereign leader of the monsters underground and wish to begin peace talks. Indeed, said Azrael, who with me had now journeyed to begin the peace negotiations. Well, let me ask you this, said the British ambassador. Have you not forgotten why you monsters were sealed underground in the first place? Yes, because you humans feared that we would kill you and started the war. And to avoid that. But, as a great wise man once said, one often meets his own destiny on the road he takes to avoid it. In this case, that destiny is a harmonious coexistence in the days of old. I suggest we start working by together in peace. And then he cast off the king's cloak and crown, and kneeled before the humans surrounding us. Seeing this, one man said, Very well. We may begin negotiations. And we did. The negotiations surprisingly got off to a good start. The UN ambassadors were eager to learn from the monsters, and Azrael was eager to learn from them. But not everyone was happy with the budding peace. The human mages who had sealed the monsters underground, having used magic to stay alive all this time, were displeased, believing human-monster peace would upend all their work. So they sent a note to Azrael declaring that they want to battle him at the peak of Mount Ebot. Well, Azrael told me, I can't look like a coward, so I have to do it. And he did. Azrael met the mages at the meeting place. So, he said confidently, we finally meet. We have been expecting you, said one mage, and now you will die. And the fight began. And what a fight it was. Basically, everyone was throwing each other around while Azrael was trying to hold out. He was basically putting up a good fight. The faux hyper death could get given to him by the soul concoction only really turned him into a He-Man of sorts. But it didn't do much good against real magic. But then, the mages made a terrible mistake by casting a spell intended to banish Azrael to another realm. But Azrael somehow absorbed the spell and went Ultra Instinct instead. Then the Ultra Instinct Azrael tried to use his powers to tap into the mages' memories to see what drove them to do this. And what he found shocked them. When he replayed it for the UN, it turns out that the human mages were actually the ones to suggest sealing the monsters underground at the end of the war. You see, they really hated monsters for some reason, but they were unable to see them as anything but evil. So, they disliked the idea of any harmonious existence, and this got them sealed underground. Because of this, the human mages were imprisoned, and the peace talks resumed. The peace negotiations proved harder than anticipated, to say the least. The UN had cut so much red tape that we had to cut through, and that made things way more complicated than they should have been. On top of that, the media was giving us a lot of attention, both underground and above. On top of this, the fear of another war was still looming on everyone's minds. But after several months of bureaucracy and negotiation, the news reported that a new peace agreement had been reached, and indeed it had. From now on, humans and monsters would live in peace with each other, and Azrael became known as King Azrael, the peacemaker. In the weeks that followed, Azrael went around the world and met many kinds of celebrities on the press tour. The UN even threw a parade for him in Vatican City. During the parade, Azrael actually got to meet the Pope. And despite the fact that Azrael is a humanoid goat who it happens to be the king of the monsters, who lived underground, the Poes got along surprisingly well with him, even comparing him to multiple biblical kings. So now we had reached Dad's dying wish, a utopia where monsters and humans could live in harmony. But there was one more surprise left to come.